"It's just a Thanksgiving party. Get over it," Mom said. That's when I realized I was nothing. "Goodbye, Mom." I blocked her number. 2 weeks after, they changed tactics. I always knew my place in the family. The forgotten one. The middle child, not talented enough to be praised, not young enough to be coddled. Just there, existing in the shadows of everyone else's brilliance. My older brother, Mason, was the golden child. Perfect grades, athletic scholarships. The kind of son parents brag about at neighborhood barbecues. My younger sister, Emma, was the baby, spoiled, protected, her every tantrum soothed with gifts and attention. And then there was me, Noah, the one they only seemed to remember when they needed something. For years, I told myself I was imagining it, that the knot in my stomach every time they forgot my achievements was just insecurity, that the ache in my chest when they canceled our plans was just misplaced disappointment. Those families have their ups and downs, and eventually they'd see me. I was wrong. The truth hit me on Thanksgiving Day. A truth so raw and undeniable that it shattered the carefully constructed lies I'd been telling myself for 28 years. My phone buzzed that morning with a text from my mother. The screen illuminated with her message. "Noah, honey, we're canceling Thanksgiving dinner this year. Money's tight and we just can't manage it. We'll do something small next month to make up for it. Love you." I stared at those words, a hollow feeling spreading through my chest. Money's tight. The same excuse I'd heard countless times before. The same reason I'd been sending them money every month for the past 3 years. To help out, to be a good son. My fingers hovered over the screen, ready to reply with understanding. Ready to offer more money. Ready to, once again, be the solution to their problems. But something stopped me. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was the culmination of years of disappointment. Whatever it was, I decided to drive by their house that evening, just to check in. Maybe bring some takeout to share since they couldn't afford a proper meal. The knot in my stomach tightened as I turned onto their street. Something felt off, and then I saw it. Their driveway, full of cars, my brother's sleek BMW, my sister's red Jeep. Cars I recognized as belonging to aunts, uncles, cousins. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. They couldn't be. They wouldn't, but they had. I parked across the street and walked up to the house. The windows glowed with warm light. Through the gap in the curtains, I could see them, all of them, gathered around a table laden with food, turkey, stuffing, my mother's famous pumpkin pie, laughter, togetherness. Everything a Thanksgiving should be, everything I had been told was impossible this year. My breath caught in my throat. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. They hadn't canceled Thanksgiving, they had just canceled me. I don't remember pressing the doorbell, but I must have because suddenly the door swung open and my mother stood there. Her smile faltered when she saw me. Not guilt, not shame, just annoyance at the interruption. "Noah, what are you doing here?" I couldn't speak. Over her shoulder, I saw the dining room fall silent. Faces turned toward the door, surprise, discomfort. My father half rising from his seat at the head of the table. "I got your text," I finally managed to say, my voice sounding strange even to my own ears. "About canceling Thanksgiving." She blinked, composing herself quickly, too quickly, like she'd prepared for this possibility. "Oh, there must have been a misunderstanding. I meant we were canceling our plans with you. We decided to do something small, just family." Just family, those words echoed in my head. Just family. What was I then? "I am family," I said, the words scraping my throat. She had the decency to look embarrassed, but not sorry, never sorry. "Of course you are, honey, it's just, you know how it is. Mason brought his new girlfriend, and Emma wanted to invite some friends from college. We didn't have room for everyone." Didn't have room, but they had room for extended family, for my sister's friends, for everyone but me. I looked past her, into the dining room where my life as the forgotten son was on full display. Mason caught my eye and had the audacity to raise his glass in my direction, a mocking salute. That's when I knew this wasn't a misunderstanding, this wasn't an oversight, this was deliberate. They had chosen to exclude me, and they weren't even sorry about it. I turned without another word and walked back to my car. Behind me, I heard my mother call my name, her voice carrying the practiced concern she used when others were watching. But she didn't follow me. No one did. The drive home passed in a blur. My mind replayed years of similar misunderstandings. Birthdays where my gifts were clearly afterthoughts. Family vacations I learned about through social media posts. The constant refrain of "we thought you were too busy" or "we didn't think you'd be interested." They hadn't wanted me there. They had never wanted me there. When I reached my apartment, I sat in my parked car, unable to move. The reality of my family's betrayal consumed me, but with the pain came clarity, crystal clear realization of how I'd been used. For the past 3 years, I'd been sending them money, helping with bills, babysitting Emma's son when she needed a break. Just last week, I'd put down a deposit on a car I was planning to buy for Christmas, a reliable SUV to replace their aging minivan. And all along, I'd been nothing to them. An ATM, a convenience. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone and called the dealership. The salesman was surprised to hear from me so late on Thanksgiving. "I need to cancel that purchase," I said. "Something's come up." "The family SUV? But you were so excited about surprising them," he replied, confusion evident in his voice. "Plans change. They won't be needing it after all." I hung up and finally went inside. My apartment felt emptier than usual. The silence pressed in around me, reminding me of my solitude. But for the first time, that solitude felt like a choice rather than a sentence. That night, I made a decision. I was done. Done being their safety net. Done being the forgotten son who still showed up with his wallet open. Done pretending we were a family when clearly I was just an outsider looking in. The calls started the next morning. My mother first, her voice sweet and concerned, wondering why I'd left so abruptly, asking if I was feeling unwell, not once acknowledging what they'd done. I let it go to voicemail, then my father, gruff and to the point. "Your mother's upset, call her back." Delete. Mason, Emma, even my grandmother recruited to make me feel guilty for causing a scene. I turned my phone off and spent the day in peaceful silence. For once, I didn't rush to smooth things over, didn't scramble to be the understanding one, didn't apologize for feeling hurt. The real storm began 3 days later when I didn't show up at Sunday dinner, a tradition I'd kept religiously, even when it meant missing other opportunities, even when it meant driving 2 hours after a full day of work, even when no one seemed to notice if I was there or not. My mother called again. This time I answered. "Where are you? Everyone's waiting." No hello, no how are you, just impatience that I had disrupted their routine. "I'm not coming," I said simply. "What do you mean you're not coming? It's Sunday dinner." "I know what day it is. I'm still not coming." There was a pause. I could almost see her calculating her next move, the manipulation that would usually work on me. "Your father isn't feeling well. He was asking for you." My throat tightened. The familiar guilt rose up, threatening to choke me. How many times had they used my father's health to control me, to ensure I fell in line? "If he's that unwell, take him to the hospital," I replied, surprising myself with my steadiness. "I'm sure Mason can drive him." "Noah, how can you be so selfish after everything we've done for you?" I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of her statement broke through my composure. "What exactly have you done for me, Mom, besides lie to me, besides exclude me, besides make me feel like I don't matter?" "That's not true. You're being dramatic. If this is about Thanksgiving, I told you there was a misunderstanding." "It wasn't a misunderstanding. You didn't want me there. Just admit it." Silence, not the silence of guilt, but the silence of someone whose manipulations have failed, who needs to recalibrate. "Fine," she finally said, her voice cold. "Be that way, but don't come crying to us when you need something." The irony of her statement wasn't lost on me. When had I ever gone to them for anything? When had they ever been there when I needed them? "Goodbye, Mom." I hung up and blocked her number. Then I blocked them all, one by one, cutting off the avenues they used to reach me, to control me, to make me doubt myself. It was surprisingly easy, like finally putting down a heavy weight I'd been carrying for years. The next week, the flying monkeys arrived. Distant relatives, family friends, all calling to tell me how disappointed they were in my behavior, how I was breaking my mother's heart, how families have disagreements but should always reconcile. I listened politely and then blocked them too. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, they changed tactics. Instead of group calls and angry voicemails, they began reaching out individually. Strategic and calculated, each playing their assigned role in trying to reel me back in. My father was first. A text, brief and authoritarian, "Call me." When I didn't respond, he showed up at my apartment. I watched through the peephole as he pounded on my door, his face contorted with a mixture of anger and disbelief that I would dare defy him. "Noah, I know you're in there. Open this door right now." I stood silently on the other side, heart hammering in my chest. The old Noah would have opened that door, would have apologized for things that weren't his fault. But that Noah was gone. After 15 minutes, he left. A note slipped under my door. "Your behavior is unacceptable. Your mother is heartbroken. This isn't how we raised you." I crumpled it up and threw it away. The next day, Mason called from a number I hadn't blocked. I answered, not recognizing it. "Bro, you need to get over yourself," he said without preamble. "So you missed one dinner, big deal, mom's a wreck and dad's on the warpath. And you care because?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. He laughed, that condescending sound I'd grown to hate. "Look, we all know you're just doing this for attention. Mission accomplished. Now stop being a drama queen and apologize to mom and dad." "Is that what you think this is about? Attention? What else? You've always been oversensitive. Remember when you threw a fit because I got a car for graduation and you didn't?" My throat tightened. "I didn't get anything for graduation, not even a card." "See, oversensitive," he said as if he'd proven his point. "Just grow up and come to Sunday dinner. This family doesn't function when someone's rocking the boat." "Maybe it's time someone did," I replied and hung up. Emma was next, her approach softer but no less manipulative. She showed up at my workplace during lunch, her son in tow, using the child as a shield, knowing I wouldn't cause a scene in front of him. "Uncle Noah," he cried, running to hug me. Despite everything, I hugged him back. None of this was his fault. Emma's eyes were calculating as she watched our interaction. "He misses you," she said. "We all do." "Do you?" I asked, honest curiosity in my voice. "Or do you miss what I did for you?" Her expression hardened slightly. "That's not fair, we're family." "Family," I repeated, the word hollow on my tongue. "That word seems to mean something different to me than it does to the rest of you." "Noah, you're being ridiculous. So you weren't invited to one dinner. Get over it." I knelt down to my nephew's level. "I have to go back to work now, buddy. It was good to see you." As I walked away, Emma called after me. "Mom needs help with the mortgage this month, and I was hoping you could watch him this weekend. I have plans." I didn't turn around, didn't answer. Her true motives revealed in those 2 sentences more clearly than any explanation I could have given. My grandmother's approach was the most insidious. She sent a package to my apartment. Inside, childhood photos, a handmade card I'd given her when I was 6, a small toy soldier that had been my favorite. Attached was a note in her shaky handwriting. "Family is all we have in the end. Don't throw yours away over pride." Pride. As if standing up for myself after years of neglect was nothing more than wounded ego. As if wanting to be treated with basic decency was asking too much. I put the photos away but kept the toy soldier, a reminder of the little boy who had tried so hard to be loved. The final assault came from my mother. She left increasingly desperate voicemails on my work phone, the only number she could still reach. "Noah, please call me back. I don't understand why you're doing this to us. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof because of your behavior. If something happens to him, I hope you can live with yourself. Why are you punishing us? What did we ever do except love you?" Each message twisted the knife deeper, revealing just how incapable they were of seeing their own actions, of acknowledging the hurt they had caused. In their narrative, I was the villain, the ungrateful son, the troublemaker. The last message she left was the most telling. Her voice was cold, the pretense of maternal concern dropped entirely. "Fine, be that way, but don't come crying to us when you realize what you've thrown away. Mason's been offered a partnership at his firm, and Emma's pregnant again. Life goes on, with or without you. We're still a family, even if you choose not to be part of it." A threat disguised as information. See what you're missing. See how we're just fine without you? But all I heard was confirmation. Confirmation that I had made the right choice. That walking away wasn't just an option. It was the only option if I ever wanted to heal. So I deleted the message, and all the ones that came before it, one by one, erasing their voices from my life, just as they had erased me from theirs long ago. And I left, walked out of that house and back to my car, a strange lightness in my steps. Behind me, I could hear my mother crying, my father shouting, the familiar soundtrack of guilt and manipulation. But for once, it didn't pull me back. That was 6 months ago. In that time, not one of them has apologized. Not one has acknowledged what they did or tried to make amends. Instead, they've painted me as the villain in their story. The ungrateful son who abandoned his family over a simple misunderstanding. I know this because mutual friends still tell me things. How my parents play the victims. How Mason and Emma spread rumors about my mental health issues. How they've rewritten history to absolve themselves of any wrongdoing. But I don't care anymore. I'm free. Free from the constant disappointment. Free from the one-sided giving. Free from the gnawing hope that someday, somehow, they might actually see me. I've redirected the money I used to give them toward my future. Started therapy to untangle the knots of guilt and obligation they tied in me. Built deeper connections with friends who actually value me for who I am, not what I can provide. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I still feel the ache of what could have been. The family I deserved but never had. The love that should have been unconditional but always came with strings attached. But then I remember Thanksgiving Day. Standing outside in the cold, looking in at a family gathering I'd been deliberately excluded from. And I remember that I didn't lose anything when I walked away. You can't lose what you never really had. To anyone who recognizes their own story and mine, who feels the invisible weight of being the forgotten one, the reliable one, the one who gives without receiving, you deserve more. You deserve to be seen, to be included, to be appreciated not for what you provide, but for who you are. And sometimes, walking away isn't giving up. It's realizing that the empty space where love should be hurts less when you stop expecting it to be filled by people who never had any intention of filling it. I've learned that true family isn't always bound by blood. It's built through actions, through consistent care and respect, through showing up when it matters, through seeing someone for who they truly are, not just what they can provide. I've learned that boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary for survival. That saying no isn't cruel, it's an act of self-preservation. That you cannot set yourself on fire to keep others warm, especially when they'd never do the same for you. Most importantly, I've learned that healing doesn't come from forgiveness that isn't earned. It comes from accepting what happened, understanding it wasn't your fault, and building a life so full of genuine connection that the absence of toxic love no longer leaves a void. I am Noah, the forgotten son, the reliable one, the one who finally chose himself, and I've never been more at peace.